Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. So tonight we're going to do something a little different. We normally do Sichas Haran, Rabbi Nachman's wisdom. So if we have time at the end, we will do a lesson or two. But tonight we're going to learn a little bit about the Parsha. This week's Parshas Vayechi. So one of the main focal points is the blessings of Yaakov. Okay, Yaakov, he is the father of the tribes. He is called Yisrael. We're called the children of Yisrael. So it's a very, very important parsha that discusses the brachos and ends up being future also of Kal Yisrael, different things that come out from them, the Shvatim. So before he even starts the brachos, there's an interesting pasuk. It says, Vayikra Yaakov el banav, Yaakov called to his children, Vayomer he'asvu v'yagid lechem as asher yikra eschem be'arichas yamim. He says, gather together, and I will tell you what is going to happen at the end of days. Mashiach. And then he says, the next pasuk, Hikabtu v'shima b'nei Yaakov v'shima al Yisrael avichem. Gather together and listen, sons of Yaakov, listen to Yisrael, your father. He says again, gather. So I heard this kasha, this question from our Shiva, Rabbi Zweig, probably 9 years ago, and so he said the vort, and so it's his basic vort. I'll say it later, but over the year, I really like the vort. I really like the pshat, the understanding of the answer, and we're going to see soon. I found a support for it and a little extra in the Shla Kodesh, and also in the Gemara, and since we're giving Breslov Shir, I related it to Breslov, Rabbi Nachman. So it's one of my favorite vorts in the Parsha, which is why we had to take a pause and say it over, especially now. Every year, the Rosh Hashiva says it's very important when you're learning the Torah, you learn it like new, like you've never seen it before. And it's because, based on your experiences, it's a completely different Torah. We have a new understanding, new insight. Just from 1 year, we have so much life experience that we didn't have the year before. I'm sure everybody here can just think back on 1 year, what you've gone through and what you've experienced in 1 year. You have a completely different outlook. So anyway, the question here is, why is there a language of two gatherings? He says, He'asfu, gather together, and I'll tell you, and Hikabtu, and listen. Gather together and listen. So why is the Torah using two languages of gathering? Yaakov himself, why is he repeating himself, saying gather together? So, the Rosh Hashiva explained in similar Shla Kodesh, says, I took a picture of it. So really, if you read the Psukim, Yaakov doesn't go on to explain what's going to happen. Right? Chazal bring down that his Ruach HaKodesh left him. Someone there maybe wasn't worthy to hear what's going to happen. But he did say, gather together, and I will tell you what's going to happen. So he really was hinting at something. And the Shla Kodesh also says this. It's very similar to what Rabbi Zweig was saying, but you have it in print, so I'll read it from the Shla Kodesh. The Shla Kodesh says like this. He repeats the pasuk, He'asvu, and he says, Bikesh Yaakov l'gos lehem esekates. Yaakov wanted to reveal to them what's going to happen at the end of days. And it's actually quoting the Gemara in Pesachim says that. So Al Kain Amar Lashon He'asvu. Therefore he said the language of He'asvu, gather together. Ki Efshar lehaketz sheyavo ki yesh b'nechem sinas chinam. Because it's impossible for the end to happen, Mashiach, to happen when there's hatred among them, baseless hatred. And we know the Beis Medrash was destroyed because of sinas chinam, because of baseless hatred. Rak tzrichem etem lios kulchem be'asifa achas u'ba'agura achas. He's telling them you need to be an asifa achas, one group, a guda. Like a guda means like a bundle. You need to be together. You need to be bound to each other. Gam remez lachem tocha has musar al lashon hara. He was also hinting to them rebuke about Lashon Hara, evil speech, speaking negatively about each other. So he's telling them basically, this word gather, the word of Hasifa, is saying you guys got to get together and cut this out. He saw that there was fighting among them, different things, and he says, and he's foreseeing this will also be a problem later on in future generations. You got to get rid of it now, because that's what's going to hold you back from Mashiach. So we have this word asifa. So later I actually saw it in the Gemara Chagiga. It brings a pasuk. It's a very interesting pasuk. It says like this: Divrei Chachamim Kidarvonos Uchmashmeros Netuim Bali Asufos Nitum Aroa Echad. The words of the Chachamim are like goads. A goad is like I don't know, it's like a thing they lead goats, right, to push them. And like nails, Uchmashmeros Netuim, nails that are planted, are the sayings of Bali Asufos, the masters of assembly, Nitnu Miro Echad, given from one shepherd. So what are we saying? So we're saying the words of the wise, right? Words of Chachamim are like goads, meaning the words of the wise are like goads that lead people. And they're sayings from master of assembly, Bali Asufos. We have this word Asifa, masters of assembly, whatever that means. Given from one shepherd, Roa Echad. So the Gemara goes on a tangent, but it comes up to brings this pasuk up again, and it says like this: Bali Asufos. What are Bali Asufos? Masters of assembly, masters of gathering. So Gemara says, Elu Talmidei Chachamim. These are the Torah sages. Sheyoshvin Asufos, that they sit in groups and groups. Va'oskin b'Torah, and they're involved in learning Torah. Halu metamen v'halu metarin. They say it's tameh, they say it's tahar. They say it's impure, they say it's pure. They're arguing. Halu asirin v'halu matirin. They say it's asur, they say it's forbidden, and they say it's allowed. Halu poislin v'halu machshirin. They say it's pasul, and they say it's kosher. They're arguing, complete opposites. That's what happens sometimes in Beis Medrash, when they argue over the Torah, the Pshat, the Halacha. They say it's allowed, they say it's not allowed. Maybe a person will say, there's so much machlokes, there's so much argument. How can I learn Torah now? Talmud Lomar, so the pasuk says, Kulam nitnu meroa echad. It all comes from one shepherd. It comes from Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? He's the shepherd. Moshe was a shepherd. We speak always about many of our leaders were shepherds. David HaMelech, the Avos, they were all shepherds, right? Especially David HaMelech, since he was a great shepherd, he was to be the shepherd of Klal Yisrael. So the point is, we see here, they're called Balei Asafos when they can get along, even when they have differences of opinion. They don't let it get in the way. They still are together. Asifa, Balei Asifos, because they know it all came from one source. Okay, they interpret it differently, but they know they all come from one shepherd, from Moshe Rabbeinu. Shivim Panim LeTorah. There's 70 faces of Torah, different ways of interpreting it. Every person can have a different interpretation, different way of understanding, because Torah is infinite, and it all is one Torah. There's infinity of Torah. Just because we have difference of opinion doesn't mean it's wrong. It could be completely opposite, doesn't mean it's wrong. So this, we see the word Asifa is what Yaakov is trying to say, and what the Shlah is trying to say, that there's this problem of sinas chinam, hatred, and Lashon Hara. And we see the word Asifa, Balei Asifos from the Gemara, means people gathering together. So obviously that means that's what we have to do. We have to get rid of sinas chinam, and we know this already. Many people always talk about that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because of sinas chinam, and every generation that the Beis Hamikdash is not rebuilt, it's as if that generation destroyed it, because we have the same problem. So what do we do? How do we do something about it? So as the Chazal, it says about Lashon Hara, says they went to the snake and they said, why do you bite? You don't get any benefit. I think it's a Medrash. And the snake says, don't ask me, the Gemara, don't ask me, ask the Baal Lashon Hara. Ask the person that speaks Lashon Hara. Ask him what benefit he gets. Because he gets no monetary benefit, no benefit. So why does he do it? Why do people speak bad about other people, make fun of people? Right? It's a basic understanding in psychology, right? It's when people feel bad about themselves, they make fun of others, they speak badly about others to raise themselves up. I was reading my kid a bedtime story yesterday, one of these nice art scroll books in Midos. It was about a bully. So this kid was having problems with a bully, and his father told him, next time he says something to you, ask him how it makes him feel. Does it make you feel better to make fun of me? Like, can you imagine if a fifth grade kid, next time someone makes fun of him, look at the kid and say, oh, that's not nice you said that about me. How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel bigger that you made fun of me? You feel better now about yourself? Oh, good job, you insulted me. Oh, now you feel great, don't you? The Gemara also says that when a person finds a mum in somebody, finds a blemish, it means they have that blemish also. The pasuk says, "V'ahavta l'reicha kamocha." Love your neighbor as yourself. Chazal say, as yourself. Love your neighbor like yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor. You can't love your fellow Jew. If you don't have self-esteem, you can't love somebody else. The only way not to think badly is sinas chinam. It's baseless hatred we're talking. Lashon hara, there's no benefit. It's all because the person doesn't feel good about themselves. Because we have low self-esteem. Because we don't understand our potential. So if a person has self-esteem, understands their potential, feels good about themselves, so then other people don't bother them. Then they don't have to worry what other people are doing or looking for all the little nitpicky things and caring about, oh, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. When people are worried about other people, even in Yiddishkeit, what color yarmulke the person is wearing, where they daven, this, all that, is because they're not comfortable with themselves. Maybe I'm not wearing the right yarmulke. Maybe I'm not davening the right way. Maybe I'm not learning the right thing. Right? They're all unsure about themselves. They have to look other people. You never find gedolim, big rabbanim, nitpicking on these stupid little things. Because they're set with themselves. They know they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They feel comfortable with themselves. They know what they're doing, at least they feel is right. So they're not worried about what other people are doing. Okay, if it's causing other people to sin, that's a different thing. But just this little things that cause fights, ridiculous things, that people are nitpicking about each other and causing fights and hate, that all comes because people have low self-esteem, they're not comfortable with themselves. So that's how we need to stop the sinas chinam, is people need to worry about themselves first, and their families first. And then they can worry about, then the sinas chinam goes away. It's not there. A person doesn't do that. So this year, as I said, that as the time goes on, you experience different things. So this year, Baruch Hashem, we're zocheh to be in Uman for Rosh Hashanah, and it's an unbelievable thing to witness. There's 60,000 Jews there, and there was no fights. I didn't see any fights. Did you? No fights. You have Jews from all different walks of life, all different color kippas, different color skin, Sephardi, Ashkenazi, Hasidish, this Lubavitch, everything, and they all get along. I still remember when I tried to go to the Tzion, to the Kever. People like to lean on the Kever, Rabbi Nachman, and talk to Hashem, daven to Hashem. And I remember people, everyone's trying to get there. And I remember the same experience in Eretz Yisrael by the different Kvarim, especially Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Lag BaOmer, and other Kvarim. And I remember being there, and there's a lot of pushing. People aren't trying to push, but there's pushing your way in. You got to push to get in. You have to push to get in. We're talking about pushing. But here in Uman, there was no pushing. You could just walk up to it. There was people there, but people were taking their time, slowly getting in. Some people didn't want to move in. They just wanted to touch. So you see someone's hand, so people are like, okay, they help the guy touch. He wants to touch, kiss, and go, okay. So they would help out, but there wasn't pushing. There was 60,000 Jews, and nobody was fighting. So what's the reason? It's because we have a Rebbe, Rabbeinu Kadosh, that teaches us these things. He teaches us how do we feel good about ourselves. It's one of the famous lessons of Rabbi Nachman is Nekuda Tova, finding the good point within ourselves. Every person has a good point where he's a tzaddik. We have to find that good point. He teaches us to find that good point. He teaches us to be proud of ourselves and happy that we're Jewish. Just that, it's enough to be so happy. The potential of a single Jew is an unbelievable thing. He teaches us what we can accomplish just by being a Jew. The mitzvahs that we can do, the amazing things we can do, we uplift Malchus, we can uplift the entire world with one mitzvah. Just who we are, how we are. You don't have to be a big Talmud Chacham to be a tzaddik. One mitzvah, we uplift the entire world. One word of Torah, amazing things. So he teaches us to be happy about us and our potential. And not only that, we see the Nekuda Tova in other people. Once I can see it in myself, he says we have to find Zamra, we have to find Nekuda Tova, the good point in other people, and care about other people. So then when we're there at the kever and people are davening for themselves and for Klal Yisrael, so they know, just like I'm here, I'm connected to Rabbi Nachman, I'm connected to Hashem, I'm here davening for the world, so is this guy and so is this guy. And I'm not any better than him. I want him to daven for Klal Yisrael just like I want myself to daven for Klal Yisrael. Because that's why they can all get along. Because that comes first. Is that person has to love himself. He has to realize his own potential. So now let's go back to the Parsha. So Yaakov says first, He'asvu, gather together. Gather together. Then he says, Hikabtu. Asifa, what's Asifa? So practically, what's the Pasuk saying? The basic pshat of the Pasuk is he's telling his sons, all 12 of his sons are there, and he says, Hey Asfu, gather together. What's that mean? It means, Reuven, you go together and get your family. Shimon, go get your family. Levi, go get your family. You guys gather your individual families together, and then Hikabtsu means, then we'll all come together. That's what it means in the Pashup Pshat of what's going on. The Asifa is the smaller gathering of the families, and Hikabtu is the big gathering together. We daven every day in Shemona Esrei 3 times a day. Tikab shofar gadol lecheresenu v'sanis tekabetz gal yosenu. Blow the great shofar, raise the banner to gather our exiles in. Kibbutz. We ask for kibbutz, gathering, the final gathering. In Tachanun, the supplication that we say after Shemona Esrei, if you look through it, it's all about kibbutz. Anywhere, at least that I found in davening, when we talk about Hashem gathering us, we use the word kibbutz, gather us together. We're asking Hashem, gather us together, the final gathering. The only place we say the word asifa is in Modim D'Rabbanan, the Modim of the rabbis. Right? That's the thing. The Gemara was different, people gave different opinions what to say, but that's the silent modim that we say on our own. That's for us. He'asfu, the smaller gatherings, is up to us. That's what the Shlag Kodesh says. He'asfu is hinting at the Sinas Chinam and the Lashon Hara. That has to come first. First, we need to work on ourselves, find our Nekuda Tova, find our potential, what it means to be a Jew, to serve Hashem, the amazing things that we can accomplish, and feel good about ourselves. We need to gather our families. We need to teach the same thing to our families. We need to come together as a community and as a country and come together and get rid of the Sinas Chinam and the Lashon Hara. That's He'asfu. That's what comes first, but that's up to us. We don't dive into Hashem for that. That's up to us. That's our responsibility. Heyasvu. And then Yaakov says, Hikabtzu. Then you can all come together. Then Hashem will then Hashem will gather us from among the ends of the earth. And then Mashiach will come. And only then. But first, it's up to us. We have to make the first move. We have to start with ourselves and each other. And then Hashem will gather us in. So Hashem should help us. We find our Nekuda Tova, our good points, and help us get along with each other. To then Hashem will bring us together with the Mashiach Tzidkeinu B'Meir B'Yameinu.
Very nice. Oh yeah.
So now we have some more time, so we'll go into Sichas Uran a little bit, right? We have time? What time is it? We got a little time.
Every year by the Tzion I have the same experience.